Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to do a Q&A. It's been a long-awaited Q&A. You guys have been asking me so many questions on Instagram and also been commenting on my YouTube videos, so I am finally here to answer some of those questions. Everything from like fashion styling questions to fashion school and fashion career related questions, which is what my channel is really based upon. There were a lot of questions, so I have my trusty laptop here with some notes because I couldn't remember all of this. If you are new to my channel, I just want to quickly introduce myself. My name is Christina Ang and I currently work at Harper's Bazaar. I'm a social video coordinator, but that's just a fancy way of saying I help with social media, and I do mainly their TikTok. And also part-time, I am a content creator. I do Instagram, YouTube, clearly TikTok. So yeah, I do that all on my personal stuff. So it's just like I do brand deals, I do sponsorships and all that kind of stuff outside of the realm of what I already do for work. Okay, so the first question that a lot of people had are, what are good places to search for internships and internships for fashion students? I got a lot of questions from people asking about just internships in general for people who are in school, who are in fashion school, and even people who aren't in fashion school who are looking for fashion internships but don't have that education to back them up. The one thing I will say, the first place is shameless plug, my stories is one way that you can keep updated on any fashion internships or what's going on in the industry. I'm not gonna lie, I don't post as often as I used to. I used to like every week do fashion internships on my story for you guys to like click into or to reach out to people through email. I will try to do that more in the new year for sure to help you guys out, but I do also have a story highlight called, what is it called? It's called Job Ops. Again, I don't update that one as much as I want to, but in the new year, I'll definitely make it a goal to keep adding to that. So if you want to check that out, that's going to be on my story and also my story highlights. So another thing in general is I just think since we're in this day and age of social media, I think really using social media to your benefit is what's going to help you. One of my biggest pieces of advice that is not as obvious is to check brands' stories and to check their posts as well. One brand, at least on the top of my head, my friend's brand Grace Ling, she will post about job opportunities on her like in feed. She'll make a post about it and she'll even post it on her stories. I know a lot of brands who post on their stories just for easy access for people who are watching their stories to apply. So that's definitely the way to go. I remember I applied to a lot of jobs from story postings. I've gotten a lot of my freelance jobs from responding to people's stories and just being like swiping up and being like, I'm interested. Or if they say like to email this email, then I'll email that email and that's how I'll apply. That's how I've gotten a lot of the jobs that I've done. Another route for social media, an account that you guys should follow is Up Next Designer. This is again, shameless plug for Up Next Designer. Albert, who owns, you know, the Instagram account and who owns Up Next Designer, he posts a lot of job opportunities in his posts and in his stories like all the time. Even he catches a lot of the ones that I don't even catch, and I feel like I catch a lot of the niche ones and the small ones. But yeah, he's a great person to follow and just to keep updated on his stories because his platform was also built on kind of uplifting emerging designers and student designers as well. So that's also a great place to look for job opportunities. So a great website that I was using when I was in school, in high school and in college, was fashionista.com, and it's a really underrated place to find jobs and internships. If you go under their careers tab, you can find a lot of, they're more niche internships, I will say, and a lot of them are like PR or marketing related, but I think if you just like scroll around there, they update it like pretty often. You will find really good brands, and I remember I worked one job through finding an internship from fashionista.com, but I don't remember what it was. It's a great resource, and I feel like a lot of people don't know about it, so it's not as saturated as like, you know, a LinkedIn or something, or an Indeed.com. But speaking of LinkedIn, I think LinkedIn is such a untapped tool. I think people are like, oh, like I'm on LinkedIn and I can't find any jobs, like it's so saturated. You just have to know how to look for it and how to use the filters, which is why I'm able to find so many job postings in the fashion industry and based on what I want to do from LinkedIn. So here, I wrote it down for you guys. And I'll try to put like a little screen recording for you. But for LinkedIn, you want to use the filters on the top left of the search corner, and you want to also put your location in if you can to narrow the search down even more. Then it's going to bring you to a page where you can put in more filters like experience level, salary, and like your remote situation, whether or not you want to be fully remote or hybrid. And yeah, if you use those filters, you're gonna get a really narrowed down search list of like what you're looking for. And then what I would also recommend is toggling on that alert sign, what is it called? It's set alert button I get emails almost every day about new jobs that I've set my filters to, and like right now when not that I'm looking for a new job, but just like to keep my eye open on like what's out there, my filters are like social media, fashion job, content creator, UGC, like those kinds of things, and I have those alerts set on, so in my email I will get emails from LinkedIn with jobs that fit what I've been looking for. So it's really helpful, and it'll really just like keep you updated on the jobs that people have just posted. So it'll just. And my last tip for looking for jobs and internships is to look at your school's job postings. I feel like this is such an underrated place to look, but truly, at least for my school, when I was at the new school in Parsons, we had a job posting kind of like site, or I forgot what it was a platform, and there were a lot of good jobs. There were even so many niche jobs and stuff like babysitting postings as well. Like I think it was just a way for students to find jobs to make extra money on the side. And honestly, I considered it when I was in school. I didn't have the time, but I considered doing babysitting jobs because those make a lot of money, and being like a nanny and all that. But yeah, I found, honestly, one of my best internships that I did was with the CFDA. I had so many experiences with them. I actually found that through the new school job posting. So don't sleep on your school's directory and like their job posting site, because there's some good stuff there, especially if you're in a fashion school. Like it's just kind of like a missed opportunity to not use the school's resources and the school's connections. That's my thoughts personally. Like, I don't know, like talk to your teachers, talk to your friends about the people that they know that are looking for internships, especially your professors. Your professors know a lot of people who are in the industry who are looking for jobs, or maybe they have their own brand and they're looking for interns as well. It's just a really good opportunity to like network, and you know, we'll get into more of that networking strategy and all that kind of stuff later. Okay, this person asked the first job you got after graduating in fashion. So if you're not aware, I graduated from the Parsons School of Design it's 2018, I'm pretty sure, and I graduated with a fashion design degree. Currently, that's not what I'm doing now. As I told you, I'm doing social media at Harper's Bazaar, but the first job that I did outside of graduating college was I was doing a design job. I worked at Cup, which is a lingerie and intimates, that's the same thing, lingerie and swimwear brand. Yeah, and it was a great job. It wasn't technically, so it was full-time hours, but I was contracted and I was paid weekly. And yeah, it was a really great job. I was paid really well because, I don't know, at the time when I graduated, I didn't really want to like give myself to a job quite yet. So at the time when I graduated, I didn't fully know what I wanted to do yet, so I didn't want to give myself to a full-time job and not like it. So I wanted to try other things, and that's why I ended up doing freelancing at Cup. It was a really great experience. I was there for 11 months, but at the end my time was cut short for several reasons. I kind of didn't want to be there anymore towards the end. Like, I wanted to do something else, but it was really great pay and it was really flexible. The hours were great. But at the time, the main reason that my time at Cup was cut short was because they ran out of budget, and so they had to cut my contract extension. So they weren't able to basically extend it anymore, which was fine. It was like a mutual ending, because I also kind of felt like my time there, I didn't want to do design anymore. I think that was the job after college that solidified me not wanting to continue doing design in my professional career anymore. And that's why, as if you know my career trajectory, or I'll explain to you guys later, I started doing other jobs after that. So I did like PR jobs, I think I went back to some design freelance jobs, and ultimately I'm here doing social media. So these next few questions have to do with networking, specifically strategies that I use to network, and how to use networking to find internships and jobs and all that. Honestly, like networking, I feel like it's a hard thing for me to explain, because for me it's very self-explanatory. Like, you just kind of just like go to as many things as you can and talk to as many people as you can and exchange contacts with as many people as you can. But I think my biggest advice would just definitely to be yourself, and don't try to be anyone else. I think a lot of the reasons why I've been able to make so many connections in the industry and have so many close friendships in the industry, like genuine ones, is because I'm able to be myself. And just, you know, I'm also like, not to like, this doesn't sound very humble that I'm saying I'm very humble, but I'm a very humble person. I don't like to brag about my accomplishments or my experiences or how many followers I have or any of that stuff. I'm always just like come off as my most genuine self when I meet people. In terms of Some advice, I think just going to your school events, all the fashion events, especially when you're in school, as much as you can find that is like free, or yeah, if your school's having any events or throwing any events, definitely go to it. One of my biggest pieces of advice are to make friends with the people who you're in school with and your classmates, your professors as well. As I was saying before, these are great networking connections to have. And so like, obviously you should make friends with people in your school just because you want to make friends with them and because it's genuine, but you don't know who the people in your class are going to end up being, and you don't know what they're going to end up doing. And so these are great connections to have while you're in school. I'm not saying to like make friends with them so that you can get things down the line, like that shouldn't be your main goal, but you know, you never know what these people might be doing later on, so you definitely want to stay connected with them. Whether or not you have social media, or like if you can exchange phone numbers, I think staying in contact with people is the most important thing, because if you meet someone and you just leave it at that, there's a good chance that you might not see that person ever again. You might see them again, and that will be just like, that'll be fate that you saw them again, but you definitely should exchange those contacts just in case anything comes up or they think of you for anything. Like maybe you guys talked about how you like doing this job and then they think of you when their employers are looking for someone for that job. You know, those kinds of things, you definitely want to stay top of mind for those kinds of people. So for me, like when I meet people, like Instagram is my main source of a connection. Because it's also like the most informal too. I think a phone number is like really personal. So I like to exchange my social media with people, and that's how you can stay top of mind in their head. When they're following you, they can see what you're doing, and you can see what they're doing. And again, if they're posting stuff on their story, if they're looking for this job and whatever, you know, you can respond to them in that. Another thing that I think is super underrated in terms of networking is informational interviews. I know this sounds like such a thing of the past, but like it actually is super important. I remember when I was in school, and even before I was in college, like in high school, I was reaching out to people I looked up to on social media and through email and asking them if I can just talk to them. Okay, this question, how was fashion school so far? So obviously I'm not in school anymore, but I do want to break down my fashion school experience a little bit for you guys. For those of you who are not familiar with what my fashion experience was like, but I also feel like I haven't talked about it on this platform at all. So I kind of wrote it down. So sorry if I'm like looking back and forth between my computer. So my first year, I was very excited about going into fashion school. I came from a STEM background. The school that I went to in high school was the Bronx High School of Science, and it was very like STEM oriented, and I felt like I was held back in terms of what I wanted to do in the arts and in fashion. So obviously like the first year I was very, very excited to get into it. I was excited to be surrounded by all the like-minded people who also loved fashion and who also loved art. So in that regard, I really did love my first year, and it was my dream school. So, you know, I was where I wanted to be. Sophomore year, I still had that passion in me, but I think what is really great about Parsons was that freshman year was a little bit of like a year of exploration, and then the second year is kind of like honing in on your craft a little bit more. So it's when it starts to get more focused in fashion design, and that's what I was excited about, because I wanted to get into the nitty gritty of design and fashion and all that kind of stuff. Junior year was a really hard year for me. I started to lose passion in design, and I was kind of just like having an existential crisis of like what I wanted to do in life. And at that time I was doing a lot of internships, and not internships in design. So I was like, oh, like these parts of fashion look really interesting. So it was a hard year for me. And then yeah, I didn't want to change my major at that point because I felt like I was too deep. Like by the time I was in junior year, I was like, there's no point in changing my major. I'm just gonna be left behind, and I'm already doing all these things in fashion. Senior year, I was so lax, which is so unlike me. I'm a very hardworking student, but I was so chill and just not taking anything seriously because I just wanted to graduate. Like, I also, like, you have to remember that I was doing school my junior to senior year, I think. My junior and senior year were like COVID times. So it was just like a very like weird time of like exploring what I wanted to do in the industry and like who I was as a person. And yeah, I just realized that design wasn't that. And you're probably asking like, oh, if you realized that design wasn't for you, why'd you work at Cup after graduating? I did it for the money. I needed a job right after college, and you know, doing freelancing design, well, I had a major in it, so like why not? It allowed me to just like make money and take care of myself while I was still exploring what I wanted to do. And I'm glad I took that job. I have no regrets because now I know that it like fully solidified that I didn't want to do design anymore because I was working in the industry in it, and I was like, I don't want to do this. So, you know, I'm never going to go back to it. Hopefully, maybe, I don't know, eventually in the future. This is all basically under the topic of like going into fashion with little to no experience. So I have a lot of people saying they're coming from IT, they're coming from different industries, and how to basically enter the fashion world without that experience and without going to fashion school. And this is completely possible. I talk about it all the time. I mean, I'm speaking from a point of going to fashion school, but there are a lot of people that I know who work in fashion that didn't go to fashion school, who didn't even study fashion, who didn't even know fashion. But I actually have like a viral TikTok and Instagram reel that, you know, went viral on this topic, but it is kind of outdated, so I kind of want to give you guys a little bit of like a updated resource list, and I'll also have this in the description below with like links of stuff that you can do to get experience in the fashion industry without having to go to school. Yeah, that was really long. Anyway, so the first thing I talked about, this was also in that viral TikTok, is the Yellow Brick Parsons XWWD Fashion Business course. This course I've personally not taken myself, but I've heard great things about it, and also it's from my alma mater, so it seems like a reputable source, and I've heard good things about it, so putting that one out there. And obviously it's a fashion business course, so it's not like design related, it's more towards the marketing and overall like business side of fashion, which is what a lot of people want to get into anyway. So, and it's really helpful for all things fashion. Okay, this next resource, masterclass. If you guys don't know what masterclass is, it's basically like these, I don't know if they do them anymore, if they update them anymore, but you can pay like this membership to get access to videos of masterclasses taught by like professional people in the industry. There's masterclasses for literally everything, for like cocktail making, for I don't even know, for acting and all that, but the main ones for fashion that they have on there are Marc Jacobs, Anna Wintour, and Diane von Furstenberg. Great people to listen to and to sit through their masterclass. I've actually sat through Anna Wintour's masterclass, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, and it was honestly really helpful because when I watched her masterclass, I really wanted to get into fashion magazines and I wanted to be in the industry of like editorial, and honestly it taught me a lot. And obviously like Anna Wintour is at the helm of Vogue, so you know, she's gonna have all good things to teach. Okay, so the next program is the Inside LVMH program, and if you don't know what LVMH is, it's basically the parent company of like Louis Vuitton. They own Marc Jacobs now. Why am I blanking on who they own? But anyway, they own a lot of luxury brands and they're like a huge parent corporation. They have a luxury and like fashion certificate program that you can actually take, and that it actually gives you your certificate at the end so that you could like put that in your portfolio or you can show it to companies when you're applying for jobs. But I have a lot of friends, I forgot if I did it. I'm pretty sure I did it, but I don't even use the certificate anymore. I have a lot of my friends who did it as well. It's a pretty short certificate program, so it's something easy to get, and that's like a great thing to have under your belt. And again, LVMH is like really trusted in the industry, so when you say you have the certificate from LVMH, it's like a great thing to have under your belt as well if you didn't go to fashion school. My last thing is Business of Fashion has their own set of like master classes and everything from like styling. So if you guys like styling, I know a lot of people reach out because they like styling, business, any of that stuff. You can basically, the link is going to be in the description below, but you can also go to businessoffashion.com/masterclasses to see their courses. I forgot if it was free or not, but I'm pretty sure it was free. Okay, I love this question. A little bit more of like a fun question. If you did not study fashion, what do you think you would be doing right now for your career? Honestly, this one made me think a little bit because I was like, what would I be doing for my career? And I feel like the easy thing for me to say would be that I'd be doing social media, but that's kind of like a cop-out. So what I feel like I would be doing something in STEM or in chemistry because that's what I studied while I was in high school and I loved it. Like besides loving art and fashion, I really did love science, and I took like, this sounds like so stupid, but I took like all the AP classes when I was in high school, AP Physics, AP Chemistry, AP Biology. AP Biology was really hard, by the way, but I did love AP Chemistry so much, so I think something in that realm is what I would be doing. Who knows, like during my time in college, I did incorporate a lot of what I learned in my STEM classes into the work that I was doing, and I was trying to do like some innovative stuff, but yeah, ultimately that never panned out. and now I'm just straight up doing fashion and no science at all. But still, sometimes I feel like my science brain does come in handy, my STEM brain, I mean, and like my mathematics comes in handy when I'm doing stuff. So this question, what types of internships / experience do you recommend getting before applying for fashion jobs? But in this industry, it's really standard to require at least 2 to 3 years of internship or some kind of experience in the fashion industry before applying for a job, and that's what a lot of people require. A lot of people require more than that, honestly, but I would just say like that's the minimum that you should have. Sorry, did I say months? I don't know if I said months, but it's 2 to 3 years. It also really depends on the job that you're going for. If you're going for like a styling job, a lot of the times like maybe, well, for that you still need experience, but you don't need like concrete experience. Like I guess if you have like a portfolio or like an Instagram portfolio account of styling work that you've done, then that can stand on its own. But I think generally just like you should have for entry-level jobs at least 2 to 3 years of experience, so you have something to show for and you have something that they can go on. That's why it's hard for a lot of people who are graduating fashion school and just school in general to get any kinds of jobs in the fashion industry, because they needed that prior experience. So that's why my biggest piece of advice is like when you're still in school is to get that experience while you're in school. I was doing internships starting in my senior year of high school, and then I continued doing internships every year in college. So I had so much experience by the time I graduated that it wasn't that, I don't want to say it wasn't that hard to find a job, but like it was, I had better chances when I was applying for jobs. This question, how do you handle time management, especially when you work multiple jobs? So as I mentioned before, I have a full-time job at Harper's Bazaar, and then I do content part-time on the side, and then I do other side hustles too. Like I take up random jobs, like random social media jobs, random event jobs, just to like make a little money sometimes. I do UGC stuff too, which is like when you make content for the brands to post, but you don't necessarily post it yourself. One thing sounds, again, I'm gonna sound like a broken record to everyone else on the internet, but Google Calendar is my best friend. I used to use Notion, but it started getting really like confusing, and it like started taking more time than it was actually helping me. So Google Calendar, it's connected to my phone, it's connected to my computer. I just keep everything on there, like from events to appointments to meetings to big reminders of like big stuff that I need to remember, birthdays, everything is on there, so I'm never going to miss anything. Even reminders that are very important, I'll keep on there. And anyway, another thing that I do is, I'm not telling you guys to do it, it's just like, you know, asking me what I do. I send emails to myself to remind myself to do things. I check my email like 24/7. I check it all the time, and I also have notifications for my emails. So if something important comes up, like I'm gonna see the email come down right away, and that's why I'm always the first to respond to an email. Like everyone knows this about me. If I get an email and it's important, you're getting a response like within 0.5 seconds, because I'm going to respond on my phone. But yeah, I send emails to myself so that I can remember to do stuff that is urgent and important, because like I'll always see it on the top when I'm checking my emails, because I always like clear my emails pretty often. I also keep a notebook where I write down like the stuff that I need to do for the day. Especially when I'm working remotely at home, I'll use my notebook and just keep track of what I need to do for the day and like what I'm doing after the day, and it's so satisfying to cross things off. And now I've been liking mixing like digital and analytical ways of reminding myself to do things, because I just sometimes like the digital stuff is like, it doesn't really help me, like transactionally doesn't help me visualize that I've completed it. So in a notebook where I can cross it off, it just like it just gives me so much more satisfaction, if that makes any sense. And another thing that I do, just to answer this question very truthfully, I'm not telling you guys that you should do it either. If anything, I think it's kind of like bad practice, but sometimes the night before, I will do stuff for the next day to get ahead of my schedule, and it just gives, for me personally, it works out for me because it gives me less anxiety about everything that I have to do the next day. So that's why I do it. But I'm not telling you guys that you should do it. It's just something that helps me out a lot. Yeah, especially for work stuff, like I don't like to be overwhelmed the day that I'm going to work, so I'll do a lot of the stuff at night if I have downtime. I'm not just gonna like, I don't always just do work at night just for the hell of it. Sometimes if I'm just like watching my show like Vampire Diaries on in the background, I'm just gonna, you know, do work on the side, because it's kind of like no I mean, I do social media, so it's like, it's not that like intensive to think about. Okay, the last question, you guys, is connections essential to working in the fashion industry? The reason why I wanted to answer this as a separate question was because I have realized over my, I don't know how many years I've been in fashion, like going to school and working in fashion, but I've just come to realize that connections are one of the, if not the most important thing in the fashion world. I always tell people the phrase, what is the phrase? Sorry, it's not what you know, it's who you know, and I feel like that couldn't be more true, especially with this day and age when like social media is so prevalent and everyone knows everyone, or a lot of people know important people in the industry. So you just kind of, that's why I said like networking, like meeting as many people as you can and exchanging information with them, exchanging contacts. Like that's something so important in this day and age that I feel like everyone just needs to have under their belt if they want to be successful in the industry, unfortunately to say. But thank you guys so much. I hope this video wasn't too long, and I hope I answered a lot of your questions about the fashion world and what it's like to work here, and just like, I hope I answered and gave you guys a lot of advice on starting out and how to work in the fashion industry. If you guys have any more questions that I didn't answer, please leave them in the comments below. I will be reading all of the comments and answering the comments as well. DM me on Instagram if you have more personal questions or more specific questions that you want me to answer. I'll also be there to answer it. But yeah, this is my first Q&A on this channel. I hope to do a lot more in the coming year. Happy New Year, everyone. I don't know when this video is gonna come out, but happy 2025, and I will see you guys in the new year with more videos.